What fact are you just tired of explaining to people?
Nothing's wrong. It's just my face.
If I'm working at night, I need to sleep during some portion of the day. I remember still living at home after high school, and getting a job that required midnights for a year. My mom would wake me up and ask me to take my sister to school, or set something out for dinner, or run errands while she was at work since I'm off all day. When I got pissed for being woken up at practically 1 a.m. for a normal person to go get milk from the store, she'd tell me to stop being lazy. Some people have a serious disconnect with this. My petty ass would be in her room at 1 a.m. asking if she had time right now to go get something from the store. For fuck's sakes. Thank you. I've worked night shift for years but fucking still, people who've known this for years are still shocked when I'm sleeping during normal day hours. Oh, but come on, you can go out for lunch with us, and then go shopping at the mall for a couple hours, and then get the rest of your sleep when you get home, why not? Brother, that is like me asking you to wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning to go out for hours of activity, and then just finish your sleep when you get home around 7 a.m. Tired of explaining this shit. My gram is constantly on my ass about sleeping during the day. Ma'am, when the fuck am I supposed to sleep? I feel this in my soul. Do not call me at noon. How do they like getting phone calls at 3 a.m.? I bet they'd be bitching so much. Next time someone calls you at noon, call them back at 3 a.m. If they get pissed, just say, sorry. Sometimes I forget that not everyone has the same sleep schedule. Reminds me of this guy who posted about his family doing an intervention because he worked night shifts and would drink a beer at 9 a.m. after his shift, and was actually his 9 p.m. Everything is made of chemicals. Not everything natural is good, and not everything man-made is bad. Yes, snake venom and crude oil are both completely natural. Asbestos too. Viruses are not bacteria. Bacteria are not viruses. Software developers are not computer technicians.
Yeah.
But my computer is running slow. Do you know why it is doing that? My cat videos don't run well on Reddit, and everyone says it's because the video player is crap, but I think it's because my computer is slow. Can you fix it? You're so good with computers, can you fix the fact I am totally stupid, please? I'm a male and a nurse. No, I don't want to be a doctor. No, I'm not going to school to be a doctor. No, I don't feel like less of a man because I'm a nurse and not a doctor. And stop calling me doc and doctor. I've told you 5 times I'm your nurse, and my badge says nurse in big letters. That type of 1 diabetes isn't caused by your diet, and it cannot be cured. My mom had to stop a nurse from giving her something once, and was like, I'm a diabetic, I can't have that. And she said the nurse looked at her and goes, you don't look diabetic. I hear cinnamon does wonders. /S. Type 2 is a completely different disease, but what it has in common with type 1 is that it can't be cured with cinnamon. That we are short-staffed and you're just going to have to wait. That many Chinese people have my surname, but we're not all related to Jackie Chan, just like how not every person with Johnson as their surname is related to Boris Johnson. That because I can usually figure out how to fix most things does not mean I want to fix everything that breaks for anyone else. Edited for typo because it bothers some. Just because someone doesn't always need their disability aids, that doesn't mean they're not disabled and faking it. Someone who needs a wheelchair to get around doesn't always mean they can't use their legs. They can still walk short distances. And walking a short distance might completely fuck them up, so that they have to spend all day lying in bed in agony the next day. You only see them walking. You don't see the after part. Also, being able to do something for a short time doesn't mean they can do the same task for any length of time. Also, disabled people have good days and bad days. Some days they might have the energy to do it. Other days they might not. Part-time chair user here. When I started, I felt like everyone was looking at me, so I would do less. Despite the fact using the wheelchair allowed me more accessibility. That is exactly what I am struggling with now. I am in near constant chronic pain, and I think that at least getting a cane would help me. However, I am also 30 and believe people would judge me harshly. OMG, you guys are amazing. Thank you for all of the support. There was an episode of House where his parking space was moved farther from the hospital. He was told, your file says you can walk 250 feet, your space is icky 240 get from the door. He responded, great, so I can collapse 10 feet into the lobby instead of the parking lot where it's cold. Just like being blind doesn't necessarily mean you see literally nothing, being disabled doesn't necessarily mean you can't do anything at all. As a power chair user, I love that episode. The part where House is giving the power chair user a hard time about not actually needing to be close to the building is hilarious, because it's absolutely true. I really do have an easier time getting around than someone who uses a cane because of chronic pain, but almost no one sees it that way. I'm a programmer. I write programs. I don't know why your computer won't turn on. Wheelchairs aren't cheap, and cheaper wheelchairs are not suitable for everyone, not suitable for hardly anyone in fact. It's not a choice of a 30,000-pound wheelchair or a 300-pound wheelchair, it's a choice between sitting in a chair that fits the needs of the user that enables them to be active in their life, or sitting in an unsupportive seat on wheels that physically harms the person until they're out of it again. Some friends of mine are wealthy and absurdly cheap. The wife has declining health and needs a wheelchair to get around, so her cheap husband bought her one of those wheeled walkers that you can turn around and sit in temporarily. The thing is, you sit in them backwards. The handles for the device are facing your front when you sit in them. Instead of awkwardly pushing her backwards from the front, he awkwardly grabs the back of the chair and pulls her around backwards wherever they're going. It is as absurd to watch as it sounds. My chair is extremely specialized for me with the seating package tilt, reclining, elevating foot pedals and lift packages, plus more. My chair is just over $62,000 CND, then needs several thousand worth of maintenance a year, but only for 5 years because at the 5-year mark the chair is no longer worth fixing, and they start then process of getting a new $60K plus chair. In my 20 years I have gone through over $200,000 worth of chairs, as they get more expensive every time I need a new one. I have insomnia. No, I can't just think about nothing. Glad to know there's 15K of you out there that know the damn struggle. I tried to respond to each one. Zombie hugs to everyone, virtually, from here. And just because I have insomnia doesn't mean I'm not tired. Always tired. I have cried so many times because I just want and need to sleep. Like, no sleep is basically just, welcome to disassociation station. Just go to bed earlier. No. Going to bed when you're not tired only makes the problem worse. My favorite is, have you tried just closing your eyes and going to sleep? Oh geez. Why didn't I think of that? I'm cured. Gets job at NASA. All extended family asks as if moon landing was real. Pain. I like the implication that, assuming the moon landing was faked, NASA just spills the beans to anyone who is hired, as if it's in some sort of employee handbook. Bugs Bunny is real, Michael Jordan isn't, and there was actually a 6th Monstar that they couldn't show in the film, because he wouldn't stop using slurs. Gets job at NASA. That's really cool, congrats. I'm ginger and a lot of people asks me if all my hair is also ginger. My poor wife deals with this as well. What is it about red hair that makes people comfortable with asking about your pubes in public? It's not just redheads though. I come from a family of natural blondes, but pubes are brown. All natural. But mom says that a guy told her when she was younger that she's not a natural blonde, because the carpet didn't match the drapes. People can be really stupid. My highest computer science teacher was a great example of how stupid that thinking is. His hair was red, his eyebrows were black, his mustache was blonde, and the rest of his beard was brown and gray. All natural. My hands shake a little. It becomes worse when I'm anxious, nervous, when people point it out and or tell me to stop shaking. Another thing. I have went to the doctor, a specialist. He told me it's normal. People still try to misdiagnose me with Parkinson's. Worst part, it's always people not on the medical field. I have the exact same affliction. Tremors run in my family. got made fun of a lot in grade school. That feelings you have about your thoughts are still feelings, and can make or destroy you equally to feelings about non-imaginary situations. I learned this in therapy. I run negative imaginary scenarios in my head a lot. My therapist called this catastrophizing, and need to remind myself to let go of the scenario instead of solving it, because it drains me if I think about it too much. And that feelings are not automatically facts. I have to remind myself to stop wasting energy getting upset on something I'm only imagining, and hasn't and may never happen. Wi-Fi does not equal internet. I'm mostly telling this to my kids. We frequently lose internet connectivity, but the Wi-Fi will be working fine. They will never understand. Is this iPad the one with Wi-Fi? All iPads have Wi-Fi. But my friend has one with Wi-Fi that works when she's not at home. That's not Wi-Fi. Or maybe it is. But you're talking about cellular, LTE, 5G. But I want the one with Wi-Fi. My ma doesn't understand cellular data except as the one you pay for if you use too much, which has turned her into a data miser, who refuses to Google things for fear of using up all of her 10 gig of data. She uses about 200 meg a month or less. My mom is on my cell phone plan. Told her 1,000 times and more that we have unlimited data. Just look a hit up. She still refused to use GPS. I know the real reason is that she doesn't want to learn how to use it, but it just boils my blood. If this will help, but telling people the Wi-Fi is the pipes and the water is the internet. I can only install the pipes. The utility has to send the water through. Seems to help people get the message. When in trade school years back and learning about electricity, the instructor taught us the water is the electricity. The pressure of the water is voltage. The size of the hose is amplitude amperage. Your thumb on the end of the hose is resistance. So many light bulbs turned on that day. The difference between type 1 and 2 diabetes, two completely different diseases. Being a healthcare worker and sometimes even having to explain it to my coworkers is tiring.
Yeah.
Type 1 is when your own immune system destroys your own pancreas cells capable of producing insulin. It's an autoimmune disease, and without supplied insulin you'll die. You can also technically develop type 1 due to physical damage to the pancreas and thus become incapable of producing insulin, but type 1 typically refers to the autoimmune variety. Type 2 is when your blood sugar is high enough long enough that your cells become resistant to the mechanism of your own endogenous insulin, which strains and exhausts your pancreas as it churns out more and more insulin to try and clear your blood of excess sugar. It can be managed by diet and lifestyle changes to a point, especially if caught early. You can also have an underactive pancreas relative to other people, whether due to medication or disease, making it harder to clear blood sugar even with a balanced diet. Then there's diabetes insipidus and gestational diabetes. All four are different diseases with different causes. The connection is that they all entail excessive urination and thirst. The etymology of diabetes is literally to flow through, siphon. Like how hepatitis simply refers to inflammation and destruction of liver tissue, but can have a wide variety of causes ranging from viral to genetic to substance abuse. My son has T1 and family members think it's caused by his diet. I've given up on explaining to people that don't listen or think they're right 100% of the time. One up ya on that. I'm type I since I was born and people think I can fix this with homeotherapy. Did you know the Bumbawamba tree produces enzymes that have been proven to cure diabetes? Get the extract during the third eclipse of the fourth solstice and you'll be fine. It's nice running into other diabetics who get it and know how it works, so I don't have to put up with people thinking they can cure me with some random plant grown on the mountains in Peru. As a T1, I hate this too. I get told many times over that I'm doing things wrong and that I have no idea what I'm doing, and it's not so hard, because they've lived it, as a T2 diabetic. Diabetes is also just a condition that can vary wildly based on the individual, and what works for one may not necessarily work for the other. Never make assumptions. Airplanes don't fall out of the sky when they lose an engine. A 747 can glide nearly 100 miles after losing all engines at cruise. Airliners are required to be able to fly after losing one engine. If you lose an engine, you're good with the other ones. If a plane loses all engines, it will be able to glide for a decent amount of time, enough to find an airport and land. If there's no airport after 15 minutes, you are legally allowed to crash. IIRC, airlines don't fly in a straight line from A to B on transoceanic flights. They take a path that takes them within X distance of safe landing zones, and they're always making sure they are within that distance of another airport or landing spot for just such a scenario as this. I'm a frequent flyer, not an aviation expert, so if someone more knowledgeable can confirm or correct me, that would be great. How often do you find yourself explaining this? Don't get your mental health information from TikTok, Facebook, or self-proclaimed experts who aren't professionally licensed. I no longer offer a professional opinion anywhere outside of work, and that includes Reddit. I've learned that 95% of the time, people don't want to hear the facts. They just want to circle jerk about whatever reality they've conjured up in their heads, and if you correct them, they'll be pissed off and then it's a bad time for everyone. Signed, a psychiatrist. I've had so many keyboard warriors revoke my diagnosis and re-diagnose me with other disorders solely because I openly talk about a symptom that doesn't match their view of that disorder. They never like it when I tell them my designated mental health professional knows my condition better than they do. That chronic illness is chronic, like permanent, like forever. Still sick. Not getting better. Get it? Oh, I don't look disabled? That's lovely to hear. I can assure you I am, but trying to convince you means nothing to me. Same with chronic pain. Just because I'm smiling doesn't mean my back doesn't hurt. I've had chronic nerve pain for 8 years. I spent the first 2 weeks or so literally screaming and crying until I got used to it enough I could do a few things. Now I'm in a level of pain that would have devastated me on an everyday basis. I can't remember what not being in pain feels like. Oh, you forgot I'm constantly in screaming agony 24/7? Wish I could. Fist bump of solidarity, fuck pain. I'm tired and I don't know why I'm tired. Do a sleep study. Most insurances cover it. I had the same issue, I constantly took naps. Turns out I woke up 34 times a night, the average person wakes up 2 to 5 times, because of my breathing. I got a CPAP and holy shit my life changed. I started hawking sleep studies to everyone I knew. 3 of them also ended up with CAPS and have had the same results. Now I won't lie, a CPAP sucks and you have to get used to it, but waking up refreshed almost every day is a goddamn game changer. If your CPAP sucks, it may be faulty. They're supposed to blow. Antibiotics will not help your virus. Even if you feel really crappy. An hour-long YouTube video about something does not mean that it is true. It could just mean that some crazy or stupid person posted an hour-long video about nothing, and you are now dumber for having listened to it, and may God have mercy on your soul. Same with images with text on them. All the fucking time on Reddit someone posts a picture with a headline on it. People take to be the same as an actual news article. It's almost always some lie designed to make you outraged about something. Maintaining a safe following distance is the easiest thing to do to avoid accidents, and yet most people aren't doing it. It's basically impossible to react in time to avoid an accident if you're following less than 2 seconds behind someone. It doesn't get you where you're going faster. The accident will always be your fault. And finally, 2 seconds is way longer than most people think. Most will count 1 second. My most upvoted comment is one that makes me feel less like I'm the only one that cares about this. I'll take that. Thanks, Reddit. Edit, update, follow up. A lot of people commenting to say they do this but hate when people take that gap by moving into your lane in front of you. Combine that with the second most common comment, that's fine, give them the space too. You're actually solving one of the biggest contributors to traffic jams too. Next common comment is the 1 car length for every 10 miles per hour. Not bad. Better than believing yourself to be immune to physics, and overestimating your cat-like reflexes. IMO, car lengths are more difficult to estimate than 2 seconds, and my trust in that happening is already low. Last of all, thanks everyone. This is the most fun I've had on Reddit since Shittymorph. I always try to do this. It's the absolute worst though when people try and aggressively squeeze in between me and the car in front of me. Drives me crazy. Pretty sure it's an everywhere in the US thing, but here in FL if I leave more than a car length gap between myself and the car in front of me, someone always has to squeeze their dumbass in. Slow down so I can increase the distance. People behind me get instantly impatient, pass then do the same shit to me when the lane they just barely pass me in is going 2 miles per hour slower than me. I have never seen an ICU full from car accidents before I started working in Florida. It was all ages too, with the most amount of fatalities I've ever seen. It's so dangerous driving here. Worst I've seen was in the same crash. A 94-year-old woman whose bones broke like glass on impact. Collarbone, femur, neck, spine, jaw. Her license had expired 10 years ago. The other victim was a 16-year-old who was thrown from the windshield and had severe brain damage. He wasn't wearing his seatbelt and died 5 hours later in hospital. I am not telling you what I did/why it happened. What happened as an excuse. It is an explanation. Why did you fall asleep during the movie? I was tired. Don't give me excuses. What the fuck do you want me to say? Edit, OMG, thank you for the award. Or I'm not answering back either. My stepmother says I have an answer for everything, and it's like, yeah, you asked a question or implied I had no reason to do something. I'm not a mindless zombie, I do think about my actions. Damn near got myself fired from a restaurant once my boss asked me, why is that truck parked outside? I don't know. Don't tell me I don't know, why you don't know either, so what's the problem? I could hear her gears calculating how much effort it will take to replace me compared to letting it go. That disagreeing with someone's opinion isn't an attack on them. Or knowing the difference between a fact and an opinion. Just because I work in IT, doesn't mean I know everything technology related. It is a vast field. You work in IT, what phone should I get? You work in IT, do you know why this app isn't working? We're not all help desk or some sort of phone tech support, I promise. I stopped telling people I'm a programmer with a degree in IT. I stopped after my fucking pest control guy stopped me and held me up for 30 minutes asking how his Mac got hacked. Like dude, there are a million possible reasons why your computer is fucked up. I'm not gonna fix it in my goddamn driveway. Thanks for watching this video. Hit the bell next to subscribe so you never miss a video. Like, comment and subscribe if you are new on the channel.